Yeah, what's up, guys? So we got Travis Wells here today, aka Mobile Home Park King, crushing it. Seems like he's buying all over all the time. So, yeah, Travis, I appreciate your time here. I figure, 30, 40 minutes, whatever you have, that'd be greatly appreciated. Just kind of go over, I guess, where are you at, like located, where are you doing deals at? Um, we'll just start off there, kind of what you're doing and how you're approaching this investing.
Cool, man. I'll kind of tell you where I started and where I'm at right now. Travis Wells, live in Canyon Lake, Texas, just north of San Antonio, and buy a lot of real estate. I was an oil and gas guy for like 13 years. While I was doing that, I was making a ton of cash, and I was putting in real estate. I was buying rentals. But the bad thing about that, with working a W-2 job and being busy as hell, is you don't really do your full due diligence on stuff while you're doing it. So I learned a lot of stuff doing a lot of sight unseen and things like that. But I got really good at making deals and making deals virtually because I was always on the road and working and all that good stuff. Got in flash forward, got into bought a motel, got some experience there, bought some mobile home parks, and figured out mobile homes and mobile home parks are my thing. I still hold a lot of single family rentals, but that's where I'm at right now. Currently, I'm running a wholesale team. They're all virtual from Egypt, from Philippines, whatever, VAs from all over, and got some callers, some closers, stuff like that. And then I have them finding me mobile home parks and really good deals. We also wholesale mobile homes and mobile home parks. So they're finding those, teeing them up, and then I'm usually calling the bigger deals and closing them. So that's where we're at these days.
Perfect. Awesome. I love it. I'm doing a little bit of the same as far as, like syndicating these deals. I know we've talked a little bit, but like finding these parks or storage or apartments and then just kind of delivering them on a platter to,
Yeah.
some of my partners for pieces of equity. Um, So, whenever you first switched over to this, like how were you? I know you said you had a lot of money, but were you buying these places cash or was you like structuring deals or
When I say a lot of money, it's not like this just ton amount of money. I just a high income earner,
yeah,
right? So I was able to leverage banks to get loans, leverage credit lines, leverage this, leverage that. That being said, I would never buy anything full cash.
yeah,
I would always leverage a loan, whatever. And the way that I would get private money is, I'd get like seller finance deals, and then I'd pay those people for a while, and I'd say, hey, I find baller deals, will you loan on my next one? They're like, hell yeah, like you pay us, cool. So like I got millions of dollars from people, other people's money, but it wasn't me going out and raising money from several people. It's usually from like one or two people, not all at once. Obviously, deals cost a couple hundred K or whatever here and there. But yeah, that's usually how I would fund those things.
yeah. That's a huge part of why I started doing YouTube and stuff was to like show that credibility.
Yeah.
Because how many times is it like I know what I'm doing, like certain people in our groups know what I'm doing, but I never had the content out there to prove it or show it. So now I can refer to people like, hey, look over here. Here's what we're doing. I'm the same way with trying to structure seller finance all the time. And I like it because you can win everybody all the way around. Like it's so versatile. So yeah, I love it. Awesome. So your main thing now is mobile home parks.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a residential thing going. I didn't stop that. I just have the VAs completely running that. So from start to finish, like it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
They'll tee the deal up for my closer that's a VA. He'll close it. Well, he'll send it to our underwriter, which is a VA, and she'll underwrite it and approve or not approve it. Then he'll close it and say, hey, contract this. We have an American VA, I mean, an American TC and a VA TC. He'll usually send it to the TC. She'll get the contract stuff and send it off. So they're handling the residential pretty much. We're getting that turnkey. I'm not quite there because I still have to butt my head in. My COO still has to butt our head in, but it's getting a lot less.
Yeah.
So goal for that is to kind of like turn that up in their countries whenever I get to that point. But I don't feel like we're at the point where we can be completely hands off. But I would say we're maybe like 60% hands off, which is cool for
Yeah.
like VAs, right?
Oh yeah.
So the goal is to get them to be able to run all on their own, do the residential, keep that mailbox money going. And then, yeah, my main thing though that I'm doing is mobile home parks and mobile homes, tiny homes, things like that. I'm actually launching a pretty cool program for the tiny homes right now. Is I pick them up really cheap. Like I just bought 3 for 6,000 a piece.
Yeah, I see you posting all the time on it. I'm like, you
Yeah,
can't get a car for that,
yeah,
literally.
furnished, badass. I could go rent them for $700 or $800 a month. Right. So I'm about to start offering these packages to investors for like, maybe 20% return on their money. They can own the home, we'll manage it, something along those lines. So we're working on doing something like that now too. But that's kind of where I like to spend my time.
Awesome. Yeah, you was talking about the turnkey wholesale business. It's funny. So I kind of am doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, Probably not quite as far as you on it, but I have all my VAs. They're all in the Philippines, and I still do like 3 calls a week with them. I poke my head in here. Like
Yeah.
I'd say I'm 30% turnkey,
Yeah.
but it's awesome. They're amazing. I love it. Um, so yeah, that's a super. I mean, like you said, if that's just passive coming in, once you can trust them.
Yeah.
I mean, I just started giving more and more responsibilities, and then it's kind of hard, especially when you kind of want control of things. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's crazy because it'll add up to, I mean, our payroll still is like 12 grand a month, right? It's all VAs for the most part,
yeah,
People are like, oh, it's cheap. It's like, well, you
yeah,
gotta have this, you gotta have this, you gotta have this, you gotta have this. Crap adds up. That $3, $4, $5 an hour adds up.
oh
So
yeah, and then I mean, just all the systems you need.
yeah. So I
That's
don't
something people don't put into. I'd say we got 4 grand a month in systems. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Just to have an operational business.
yeah. So I don't want to sugarcoat that at all if anybody watches
Yeah,
this.
yeah, it's not quick and easy, and that's what I tell people. So there's a lot of people that's wanting to like mimic what I'm doing with that and do these things, and I'm like, look, it looks sweet and cool from the outside, but
Yeah,
like I put work into this.
yeah,
Like I've built out whole training modules and looms and videos, and basically transformed their training into more of like RJ and them's, and kind of meshed in the middle. And so it's not like, hey, I swiped a card and they're doing deals. Like
yeah.
it's not like, and I always set that standard of don't expect my results if you're not going to put in my work.
Yeah, it's always just tweaking, 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 and and then you find what you're good at or what works, and then pour some gasoline there, and then maybe you crash there, and people just, some people do it, some people don't. You know what I mean? But yeah, man.
I love it. And so you're kind of, I think you're a lot like me where like I'm just in, or I'm in or out. Like
Yeah,
don't tell me we're going to go, dabble in this. Like let's do it.
yeah.
So whenever you first started, and it sounds like you kind of did that nosedive, figure out the hard way, what are some things looking back now that you could maybe educate me on, or us viewers on things to be aware of that maybe people weren't thinking about, or just, tips and tricks like, hey, avoid this. I wish I would have known this.
So I had a very high salary job, and I got approached by a guy that still coaches me, very, very well off guy. And he's like, hey, dude, like you have a knack for doing deals, solving deals. I'm a closer, right? That's what I'm
Mhm.
wired to do. And he's like, I'll invest in you, quit your job. I was like, cool, done. And this dude has like a big name and I trust him. And I'm like, cool. And anyway, went that route. That was awesome. And I think just kind of put myself out there on stages, not being comfortable, or put myself out there in networking, which I hate. I'm just going to be honest. Like just being out there, though, if not doing those things, I wouldn't have that opportunity. They wouldn't hear me run my mouth and be like, hey, I think I want to put my money with that guy, So maybe putting yourself out there more to get lucky, right?
Yep.
To get those opportunities. And then, I was closing deals, but I would like turn this marketing off, turn this one off, and then like nothing was consistent. And you have these really cyclical months in real estate, and just telling people that it's gonna be like that at first to kind of just stay, find your path and stay consistent. Well, we started out super strong, then we went like that, and went like that. It just kept going, and then I started having people reach out that wanted us to close their deals. And I started marketing it because, I build my machine. I tell what I'm doing online, which
Mhm.
everybody should be doing.
Yeah.
and people will just flock to it. So we built like 10 JV partners all of a sudden. They were sending us all their marketing and we hooked them up and go high level. They all had their own pipelines. It was visible. VAs were hitting it. We're hitting it. We're closing. And, you know, we're having these high months gross, but when you look at the bottom line, we're not making any money.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, damn, because we're paying this person, we're paying payroll and systems and this and that. I'm like, damn. So we started pivoting, like, we started pivoting to like less JV partners and on the residential side and doing more of our own things. So now we're actually going to invest in some TV ads and get back on some PPL and mail is my favorite thing. If nobody told me anything again, I would just go all in on mail and like not even turn back because our ROI is nuts on
Well, that's
mail.
what. So a lot of people, I've done it a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, I don't do it much.
Yeah,
A lot of people definitely overlook that, especially nowadays with the go 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 mentality of like, a lot of these people buy PPL leads, call twice, text once, throw it away,
yeah,
and that's just not how it needs to be done. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear some of your kind of KPIs, ROIs on that, just to show people that like
yeah,
that's a real thing, and it does get returned, and like
yeah,
no specific numbers, but I mean, just generalized of return.
yeah. So we came out the gate with mail, came out the gate with it because I had another coach. I'm really big into hiring coaches. Like
Mm-hmm.
I probably spent, I don't know, $250,000 last year on coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are like, what the hell? That's crazy. If I had to borrow the money, I would. I don't give a crap. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to get the knowledge. Nobody can take knowledge from me.
Yep.
Like, so I don't care what it costs. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But anyways, I don't have my KPIs in front of me, but I can tell you we spent 20 grand a month for the first 4 months. And we ended up, when we looked at the end of that campaign for last year, we made $500,000, and that's gross, but we made $500,000 on that. So
That's
80,000.
just direct mail.
It's just direct mail. And that's
Yeah.
us not knowing because I wasn't a wholesaler. I was a buy and hold guy for 13 years. I'd never wholesaled till last year.
Yeah.
Till I had to quit my job and I needed to replace my high income salary. I was like, well, I need active income. I can't just have this passive. It's not passive, but all
Yeah.
these rentals, I can't depend on that. So I was like, I'm a wholesale, I'm a dealer, and we
Mm-hmm.
went direct mail and dude, it's freaking insane.
That blows my mind. That's insane. Yeah, and one of the things you mentioned that I'm huge on, I'm trying to tell people, and I know it's just hard to grasp, but I'm just now starting to do it pretty good. But I'm very vocal and
Yeah.
putting myself out there. And like you see me in Titanium, I'm in a couple other masterminds. I'm the same way, and I'm just always dropping in, like just putting my name out there. If Speed to Leads live, I'm commenting. If Investor Lifts live, I'm commenting. If I see just little things, and then over time, people were like, Tyler, I've heard that name.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of that. And then that's where you start building that credibility. And now I finally grew the courage enough to bring it this way. And I mean, the network, man, I have some partners out there in Texas too, over at Tyfke Real Estate, man, and they are some killers. And they've opened my mind up to like, a year ago, I wouldn't believe it was possible for me to do what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But now being around them, their thing is just like, think bigger, push yourself. Like they just bought an RV park, $7 million seller finance. They raised 1 million down, and then the seller financed 6 million of it for I forget the balloon, but 0% interest.
Yeah.
And I mean, so they're just showing me like, dude, you don't have to have the money. You don't have
Yeah.
to. And so I'm like, well, I need to start building myself and brand and showing these people like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
Just putting
people,
it
they just undervalue that. And I know it's hard, but you have to put yourself out there or else, no one's going to know what you're doing.
I think, a big thing people starting out is don't embellish, but like post what you're doing. Like post twice a day and then be in some groups and post once a day in those groups. I mean, I do cardio every morning. So however you pick your time, you do it. But I'm on like a bike in the morning for like 30 minutes. I make like 8 posts,
Yeah.
right? In that 30 minutes, I post once on my personal page. I post in Titanium. I post in whatever, Upsiders. I posted, what I can name all these groups, and I make posts in all of them. And then at night, I post on my page again. It's either entertainment, funny, education, whatever, but it's me, because
Yeah.
people do business with people they like, know, and trust. So if they don't like, know, or trust you, you're not getting business.
Exactly. Yeah. If someone goes checks out your Facebook and all they see is you was in high school 4 years ago and you've not been active, I'm not going to trust it. But if
Right.
you get on there like you and you're like, oh, geez, Travis is posting, like you have a lot of motivational stuff, and
Yeah.
they're going to be like, oh, this is a good dude. Like on my page, I have a lot of faith stuff
Yeah.
and family stuff, and that's just me. It's like, hey, here's a peek into me. And I try to be as personal as I can with all these sellers. Like the other day, I had someone that was kind of skeptical of me, and I was like, "If you got an iPhone, I'll FaceTime you right now. I'll walk you through the house. Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm a legit person, So
Yeah.
um, that's just huge. I wish I would have done it sooner, but it does take courage, even just to make a simple post. I mean,
Yeah, and a lot of people aren't going to know what they're going to post or anything like that. And I just say it gets better. It gets easy as you do it. Like I go crank out 50 posts if you told me to, because I do it every day. You could
yeah.
call 50 sellers and have conversations without thinking about it because you do it every day.
Yeah, that's just the fear and the overthinking. Because I'm like you now. I'm just like what Nick Robbins told me about. Because I was asking him about doing this and my goals and intentions behind it, and he was like, "Just turn on your camera." He's like, "Just
Yeah.
document your day. Don't go create content."
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much. I've just been turning on the camera, doing calls, and then I'll go back, clip them calls later into shorter things. And now people's reaching out. You know what I mean? Like you talked about with the JV and stuff. This has already led to private money people funding all of my PPL.
Yeah.
So now I have free marketing because they see the credibility. And I mean, it's only going to grow.
Yeah.
Eventually that's going to turn into private money of millions, like you're talking. So it's just a
Yeah.
stepping stone. And I think that's very underrated.
What kind of split, if you don't mind me asking, do you give people that pay for your PPL?
Yeah, so it depends on some, but so I have one guy in titanium that I'm pretty close with. I give him 40. We do 60-40.
Yeah.
But it's like I choose the markets. It's basically like me buying it. It's just strictly we're in Ohio right now. Then I'm calling them, trying to lock them up as usual. If I get through 2, 3, 4 calls and don't get an answer, that's when I push it to my team.
Yeah.
And then it goes into our follow up and our drip, which is, I think, a year long, like text every 10 days or something. But
Yeah.
so that way, them PPL leads never get lost. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said earlier, eventually I would lose them leads in 3 months. I would forget about them. Whereas my team, they're just follow up, follow up, follow up. And so, yeah, it's awesome, man. And we've had great, I'd say he's probably bought me 20 leads so far. I've got 3 contracts. One of them closes this week for 15,000.
Yeah.
So he's got, I don't, not much in it at all.
Yeah.
And so it's good to see.
I went through the reason I asked, I went through a lot of phases of this because I did a lot of partnerships doing this because like I'm a good closer too, right? So like people want to give you money to do that. I couldn't make it work with 60-40 with my team because I do pay like DISPO 10% also. And yeah, I'm making money, but like it wasn't like, it ended up not being for us.
The headache, yeah.
Right, right. So then we went to 70-30. Then we went, and I'm dropping some game because people will pay it. We went to 70-30, but it took me months to realize that our value, right? And then people are like, yeah, we'll do that, no problem, right? And then I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, well, now I'm gonna charge $500 a month subscription, right? So
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
okay, we'll do that. But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I've phased all that out because I just don't want to do it anymore. But people do that because
Oh, yeah.
you are so valuable,
Oh,
It's
yeah. Well, and that's what, I mean, it goes back again to showing people this, like
Yeah.
showing them the work. So that's why I told my one guy, I was like, look, I'm going to get on live and I'm going to call your leads.
Yeah.
And so he's seeing that live time.
Yeah.
And like you were saying with getting JVs and stuff and opportunities, I'm finally to a point now to where I realize like I have to say no more than yes.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was like, oh, you want a JV? Like, sweet. Yeah, I'm taking everything. I don't care where it's from. Now I'm like, dude, my days are, I might have an hour or two here to maybe relax and do some calls. But like today, I didn't even have time to do calls because I had so much stuff. And
Right.
And like you said, eventually that'll lead to, I mean, bigger splits in my favor. It's, hey, do you want to do it, or I can just do it myself? Like,
Right. I just got off a call with a mobile home park owner. I think there's like 70 spots over there in Blacksburg. It's like in Virginia, somewhere in Virginia, because a buddy of mine wants property out there. So I put my, what we'll do is we'll pull our own list, and we'll make sure they're filtered however we like them, expires, all that stuff. Same for mobile home parks.
okay,
So I'm like, hey, pull the list, call the parks, to our cold call.
same exact process as
Same process, just bigger deals, right? And like throw them in the warm. I have to handle the bigger deals, like it's a couple $1 million deal. I want to train somebody, but I just haven't got them there yet.
Yeah.
So like throw it in there. She's like, cool. I got a badass. She sends in the message. I got a badass one that's in there whenever you get a chance. I call the lady, and it's making like 30 G's a month. That's gross. I got to see the books. But the way I'll value that is, I'll be like, all right, 30 times 12, and I'll divide that by 250 for expenses. And a lot of these things trade on 10 caps, so I'll divide it by 10%. I'm like, how much you want? And she's like, I want 1.8 million. And well, at a 10 cap, it's at 1.8 million. I'm like, okay, we're starting at a good price already, just like you would in residential. And tell me about it. Well, this lady, it's like her baby. She keeps up with it. So there's no distress. She's just old. Like her and her husband like do the work, and they polish the grounds, and
Them are the best ones.
Hell yeah. Well, anyway, I'm like, what we hold some paper. That's what I always say. We hold some paper. We really want 50% down. We like really. I'm like, damn, you want 900,000 down? Okay. We take the rest in payments. Yeah, no problem. You can work out the payment. So you get 0% interest on the back end.
Yeah.
So like, this kind of deal would like scare people away. And I even sent it to the guy that wanted it. He's like, damn, Travis, 900,000 is a lot in cash. Like you can raise that 900,000 with 10% debt with private people, and you could get 0% on the back end.
Yeah.
None of your capital down, charge an acquisitions fee, whatever you feel is necessary or works, and then go refi it at a bank a year later. Once it's stabilized in your name, you have good financials.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I love it. And so whenever you're looking at these, I'm assuming you're kind of doing the same way I am, is like you're looking for value add. Preferably, I'm guessing kind of what I look at is Ma and Pa ones are sweet, or just shitty property management, under rents, or pretty much raise NOI either by increasing income, decreasing expenses. So, do you only do creative deals now, or on the mobile home parks?
If I'm taking it down, I usually do creative deals only, but I'll wholesale the other ones. Like if I know a 10 cap's a good deal, I'm gonna get it under that price. And then I'm gonna market it as a 10 cap. And it's probably gonna go if it's in a decent populated area or an hour close to a big city. I just did most of the stuff I do to answer your questions creative. I am buying a deal right now that's not creative. It's we're raising 2.6 million bucks, but it's just such a badass deal. City sewer, city water, zone for 110 units. There's only 30 rented, like crazy ass value add. It's already a 10 cap. And normally I'd be like, it's not creative. I don't want to go through it because I got to get environmental. I got to do all sorts of crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have I have the connections to get this done, but I don't have enough connections to pull off that amount in that time. So I hang on real quick, man.
Yep.
We're painting the office right now to get the aesthetics a little better for like podcast studio. That's why I'm in my kitchen.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, I usually look for value add. But anyway, we're raising like 2.6 million. I'm taking a haircut on it because I don't have the like the bandwidth to pull all that together as quick as I need to. So I'm actually going in on a partnership with a group that can pull it together like that. So we're splitting it 50-50, but I don't got to put any money out of my pocket.
That's what I was going to ask, the split on that. So that's pretty much like you're wholesaling it.
Pretty much. I just get to
for equity.
I get to keep 50% equity.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So, I mean, that really opens my mind too, because in my head, I shoot for like 20.
Oh, hell no.
Yes. No. So on these deals that say, a lot of mine are old listings with brokers, whatever. I have some off markets, but say I'm finding these deals, I'm negotiating them, I'm doing all the upfront, all of that. getting them under contract, and then that's where my job stops pretty much. Like I'll sign it, I'll find partners, but I'm not doing any of the, I'm not a GP at this point. I'm just an LP.
Yeah.
What is that worth percentage? Is it worth 50%?
To me, it is. They never have that deal. And I tell them too, like I told these people, I said, I'm taking a haircut, like giving you 50%. They're bringing all the money. I'm like, I'm bringing the deal. You wouldn't have the deal. And they're like, yeah, you're right. So,
Yeah,
and
that opens my mind a lot.
yeah, hell no. Like I was
Yeah.
like, I just want you to be a lender, but I'm giving you 50% because I need it quick. Like if you were a lender, you'd be making a couple points and a good ass interest rate. You'd be happy and you know it.
Yeah, that's what I guess that's the flip side is if they would just lend it, it'd be what, 2 points and 12%, 15%.
Right. Now they know what they have. They know, damn, I'm getting 50% of this thing.
Yeah, so as long as the person wants to be in on the deal and not just a side LP. So yeah, that's awesome. I've never I don't know, I just haven't pushed it that much. I'm still working my way up. So
We do the same thing on residential. So the way we buy houses, I only buy 0% deals or creative deals these days. I bought a lot with banks, private money, all that stuff. I don't really like it. And I'm still learning like how I want to acquire on the creative too. I get a little carried away. Like, I don't know. I bought probably 0% deals this year. And the way that I'll do it is I'll retain 50% equity, but I won't put any of my money and I'll charge my fee. So the way I'll do it is, all right, you're talking to homeowner, and hey, will you take payments? Whatever half a rentometer says, that's what we. So if it'll rent for 1,000, I'm like, I'm giving you 500 a month. What do you want? I want 200,000. Well, it needs 40,000 in work. I'll give you 160. Whatever. I don't know. I'm just talking. I'll give you 160 at 500 a month, and 160 to 100 months. Cool. Yeah. All right. So we lock that up, and then I'll go out and I'll say, hey, I want 15 G's for a partner to come in on this. But what that 15 G's does is that gives you 50% equity, and we'll split whatever we need to do to this house after. Well, if it needs work, I'll add that on top. Like I asked for 25 G's on one of them because I didn't want to come out of pocket for the work it needed. And I wanted to make money up front. The downside, it sounds awesome, and it is because it's 0%, you're acquiring and you're making money while you're doing it. The downside is, and I'm learning this, right, because I've been picking up a lot of them, is, we created like LLCs and we own this thing 50-50. Well, you need money in an operating account too because things got to happen. So it's just kind of a hassle to be like, hey, will you send this contractor this? I'll send them this, that, and that. So I had to learn kind of the hard way on that, but it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So on that, do you guys just create a new LLC, and is that what you do for like each park or whatever?
Yeah. We'll create a new LLC. Like on the residential side, we've just been creating a new LLC. On the park, we just did a lease option on. I just bought a park. They wanted 1.6 million bucks, and the thing was only bringing in like 13,000 a month, which I'm only going to pay like 500,000 for. But it's city sewer, city water, 130 spots. This is like a $4 or $5 million park full. I'm like, and it hasn't sold for years. It's just been sitting there. And to me, right off the bat, I'm like, there is so much opportunity here. So I talked him into a lease option. I was like, look, I'll pay you 10 G's a month. And there's a lot of discussing in between that. I didn't just come out the gate with that. I'll pay you 10 G's a month. That'll cover the nut for you. And then whatever I can bring in on top of that, I get to keep. And I'd be upfront with my intentions. I'm like, hey, I need to put like, 30 or 40 units, whatever it is. I got to put this amount of units to get my valuation so I can go to a bank and buy it. So I do a lease option. I lease the park for 10,000 a month, and I have an option contract, 2 separate contracts. An option contract saying, hey, in this amount of time, I am the only person that can buy this, and you can't change the price. It's got to be 1.6 million. I don't care if it's worth 3 million. You have to sell this thing to me for 1.6 million. And we did an LLC just recently, op agreement, got a lease signed in that name, option agreement signed, and we're just getting started with that. So now I'm hollering from the rooftops, hey, who wants to bring their mobile home to my park?
Well, that was what I was going to say or ask next is, there's a lot of value out there. If you're saying you can add, 80 more units, once we do the math, that's insane.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But where are you getting these homes at? Are you just having the people bring their own? Like, you don't do any park owned homes, or what's that look like?
So I haven't put anything there because we just signed the paperwork. But I first off the bat, I'm like, hey, what's the quickest way I can raise valuation without putting my capital? Invite people. So I invite them. Well, I have a VA full time on Facebook groups and on like marketplace stuff like that, making offers on mobile homes in areas we need them. And like I'm like, hey, you can't go over for this year model, this number, this year model, this,
Mm-hmm.
she's got this criteria. She makes a sheet, and then I have somebody else that reviews them. And then if they say, hey, it's worth it, then I'll go look at it. So that's how we're finding mobile homes. Same thing with tiny homes. Same thing with all of it, because we wholesale the piss out of tiny homes and mobile homes too. If it doesn't fit somewhere we can use it, we wholesale.
I never heard anyone wholesaling tiny homes. That's awesome. I always hear on the side, like the Airbnb shit and all that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So on that lease option, in general, like how long is your lease option on that?
So I wanted a 2-year. I got a 2-year, but I got it in 1-year increments. So because I wanted to make sure we fit with each other and stuff too. So regular lease, just like you've seen. So nothing complicated there. Your attorney won't do it, by the way. Attorneys won't touch a lease option. It's just too much. Like, just save y'all a little time, unless you know somebody super creative. I haven't been able to get one. Even my creative attorneys, they won't touch them because they don't want to have to uphold them in court. They don't want to have to figure all that out. I do it myself, like literally. Yeah. Fill out the lease, cool. Regular lease, commercial lease, whatever. The option agreement, we did it for a year. We had 90 days before it expires. We have one more option to renew for another year, because I don't know how it's going to go. I just know that there's a lot of opportunity, and I didn't want to pass it up. I didn't tell you how I made money on this deal though. So I said, hey, I need partners. Who wants to partner with me? Had a lot of people. Of course, everybody's like, damn, this is badass. I want to do something with you. I'm like, cool. It's going to cost you $65,000. What the hell? And I'm like, actually, I said more than that. I said 75. I ended up with 65. So I had a group that has RV parks that we already know each other, and they're really good with infrastructure and stuff. I'm not that guy. I'm a deal maker. I'm a good manager of parks and stuff like that. I'm not your like build the water septic, do all the bull crap. Like, I usually find people for that. Yeah. Well, they're good at that. They have equipment, everything. So they were like, yeah, well, they wired me 40 G's the next day. They were like, we want it. No paperwork. They wired me 40 G's. And I'm like, well, the deposit's 25,000. You got to cover that too. They're like, cool. So like literally next day, wired me 40 G's.
And that comes from the relationships and credibility, like we talked about. Like, they're not going to just do that for me tomorrow. So that comes over years and years probably of performing. So yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I was just wanting you to kind of hit on your point of view of like people that they're already wholesaling single family, but are like wanting to get into the commercial side or just the mobile home park side, like that don't understand yet that you don't have to have $1 million in your bank to do it.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of show the opportunity and how easy it is really to acquire these places.
So if you don't know Spanish, you go hang out with people speaking Spanish, right? Like that. I'm just saying. So like, if you want to learn like commercial, you want to learn mobile homes, you want to learn RVs, you want to learn basket weaving, like whatever you want to learn, you gotta hang out and listen to those people. Like, I'm gonna be in a mastermind tonight, and these are like very affluent people, and all they talk about is big ass apartment complexes, right? It's all they talk about. And I'm like, I'm ADD as hell, but I know that I have to understand the language, like I was negotiating a $20 million deal for one of these people. I've never bought a $20 million deal, but I sit in these things, right? Yep. So I know the language, and I'm not like a super expert at them. I'm not like, but I'm pretty good at negotiating. Like things click. Anyways, where they've started bringing me into their meetings to try to help. And you just got to get in those rooms to understand. And once it clicks, it's like math or whatever. Once it clicks, I think you could start talking the language, and then you could recognize the deal. I've got VAs. Put it this way, I've got VAs calling RV park and mobile home park owners. Their notes are getting better. They're
Oh yeah.
asking the questions, right? Because they're calling every day. They're starting to understand
Yep.
what's going on. Same thing with anybody.
Yeah, that's like so I was talking about some of my partners in Texas. They're doing big deals.
Yeah,
And so I'm talking to brokers now all the time, like negotiating $10 million deals.
yeah,
And my buddy heard me one day. He's like, "How are you doing $10 million deals?" I'm like, I mean, honestly, I don't know yet, but like I'm gonna make it if I can get it for 7.5, it'll work.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and then I mean, your confidence just starts growing and growing. So, as you were talking about your VAs getting better, I've been going through the same phase where looking back 4 months ago, I was so nervous and shaky. Now I could call a broker on the phone and just kick it, talk like they're a normal person too. No need to get all worked up. Like they're trying to sell something, you're trying to buy it, embrace
yeah,
it. And pretty much for me, it's all a mindset. Like I just have to act like I'm supposed to be here. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, hey, I'm supposed to be talking to you. I'm the buyer.
yeah.
So I
Nobody.
mean,
We all put on our shoes the same way every morning. You know,
yeah.
that's how I look at it. But there is like a cheat formula that I kind of have with these things. Is like, well, first, this isn't my cheat formula. Is like understand what a cap rate is and understand what cap rates different asset classes trade on, whether it be a car wash, a
Yeah.
mobile home park, RV. Just see what cap rate. You Google what cap rate do these
Yeah.
typically trade on. Probably I don't know if they'll give you the right answer, but maybe.
It's close. Yeah.
Yeah, so then, look up how do I calculate cap rate, and then your number. Well, you've got to be under that number to wholesale, right?
Mhm.
That's it. Simple.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
So that was one thing that I had to learn was how different assets trade at different rates. So I was running into all these offices, and I'm like, damn, these are deals. Like I'm getting these, I'm negotiating them to 10 caps, and I'm like, shit, this is awesome. And I'm going over them with my partners, and they're like, who's going to buy it? And I was like, you guys, I don't know. You know anybody? And they're like,
Yeah,
no, office just has this stigma of no one wants to mess with it. So like 10 cap would be good on this asset, but for medical office or creative office, that's like retail.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, so I just took that completely off of my visions. I'm like, cross office is not a thing anymore. But yeah,
yeah,
definitely just understanding things like that. Like you said, cap rate, NOI, just the terms. And then the more you hear it, you're like, wait. And then you start getting it. And then once you start implementing it, you start to feel like, damn, I got this. You know what I mean?
and like with mobile home parks, a lot of people don't carry books, like especially mom and pops. They don't do stuff. A
Hmm.
quick rule of thumb, like I'll tell my team if they ever talk to them, is get the month grossly income. Like whatever the gross income is monthly, get that and divide that by 1.5%. And you're going to be pretty close. You'd freak out like if you actually did get their books and like ran it on a 10 cap or something around there. It's going to be pretty close, right? So if you're talking to somebody like we make 10 grand a month, cool. Divided by 1.5%, in my head, I already have a baseline that I'm already close. I don't need all this stuff. And I can have a quick conversation to see if it's even a room I want to be in or if it's a waste of my time. Just like if you're talking to a seller, you're not going to pay 100 G's for their house, right? And they want 200 or whatever. You're like, this is a long-term follow-up.
Yeah, that's what. So in my head, something I do similar kind of quick, which you might be able to fix this for me. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but say you got gross income. For me on expenses, it just depends on the thing, on where, et cetera. But on average, on an asset like that, I'm probably calculating for like 50% expenses
Exactly. Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
like you said, to get quick numbers. And people will come at me all the time. Oh, this runs at 40. Will show me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And something this pisses me off so bad. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is the words pro forma.
Yeah, I hate it.
I cannot like literally when someone says that, I just want to hang up on them. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't care about in your perfect little rainbow unicorn cotton candy world what could happen.
Yeah.
I want to know like what is it doing right now?
Yeah. And the only like I hate dealing with that. But and like it's a different ball game in like A class apartments, where you're
Mm,
talking, $100 million or whatever, and people are looking to stash their money away and they're like, what could this be if they're a value add shop? They start looking. I could see the pro formas are important,
Yeah.
and when you start getting in that stuff, because they're like, well, if we can put this amount of money and it's going to be worth this, people will buy for that. But like this other, like these lower tier stuff, I mean, it's crazy. These brokers
Yeah.
are nuts.
Yeah. That's what it blows my mind sometimes. There's a deal actually in Texas down there. I was half working an RV park. I think it was 34 spots, small and Paul thing, first time RV owner, park owners, just mismanaged, etc. And they've had it for like 4 years, and they have zero P&Ls. No, there's nothing. And so they've been going through bank statements for the last 5 years trying to come up with numbers. And I asked the broker that was in it. I said, how do they know if they're profitable?
Yeah,
Like, they don't. I'm like, that just, it blows my mind that people can, I mean, they're not looking at it as a business, obviously.
yeah.
I mean,
Broker's just there to sell the dream. That's it.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, man, I don't want to hold you any longer. I know you got a big night tonight. I appreciate it. I will text me your stuff to like your links and everything, or shoot it over. I'll drop it in the description. Other than that, man, I appreciate it, and hopefully we can link up soon, do some deals.
Hell yeah, dude. Sounds good. Thanks for
All right,
having me.
awesome. Later, Travis.
Later.